Welcome back to the channel, Little Flexers. Thank you for clicking on today's video. Today we're going to discuss the changes that I'm going to be making to my preparation for the 2025-2026 season. Now, as most of you know, I did not earn my invitation to the World Championships in Anaheim this year. A little bit bummed out about it, but I think when I do a review of my season, it won't be too hard to see why. And so I think it's good every year to take a step back and reevaluate. Even if I had made my World's invite, even if I had won the World Championships, it's good to reflect on what went well, what maybe didn't go so well, and what can be improved for the future. Because I'm trying to maximize the time that I have in this game. I'm trying to. I felt like for the last few years, just I've been on the top of my game. Got a World's invite 2022 to 2024, 3 years before Anaheim. Feeling good post-COVID, and this year just didn't happen for me. So why is that? Well, I have three kind of principles that I'm going to talk about for this upcoming season that I'm going to be implementing for this season. And I want to hear your thoughts as we're going through this together, whether or not you think that they're good ideas, bad ideas, things that you're trying for this year to be, among the best. Yeah, I'm just kind of curious there from that perspective. But what happened this last year? Well, obviously we can talk about the low runway, right? I'm a father of two, and I don't have that much time to play. To be quite honest, I mean, my wife gives me a lot of rope to attend tournaments. I went to 16 total tournaments, 5 majors last year, and I wound up about 80 points short of the invitation. Do I feel like I earned the invitation this year? No, yes. I mean, I was consistent, but didn't really have any cash placements. I talked about that in a previous video. You can go back and watch that. But all that said, I think things need to change for this upcoming year. And so here are the 3 things that I'm going to be doing to hopefully give myself a better shot at qualifying in San Francisco. So I'm still going to 5 majors this year. I have Pittsburgh, Las Vegas, Toronto, EUIC, and NAIC lined up. And so those will be the majors that I attend this year. First thing that I'm going to try to do, the first principle that I'm going to try to implement, is selecting my deck as early as I can. Reasonably, that means a week out, maybe 2 weeks out. Ideally, that's 3 or 4 weeks out to get a really good read on how this deck fits into the meta and be able to make those kind of last minute changes. What I don't want to be doing, and I did this a lot last season. The best example of this was NAIC. The night of, it was like midnight. I'm deciding between 2 different decks and opted for a deck that ultimately didn't get me the finish that I wanted. And I wouldn't say I regretted not playing Grimmsnarl, but I opted for Raging Bolt, and I think I just would have had a better day playing Grimmsnarl. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. The point that I'm making is that I decided on Raging Bolt the night before the tournament, and that cannot happen. That's not something I'm going to allow myself to do for this upcoming season. Me or my testing group, I'm going to the extent that I can, try to decide at least 1 or 2, maybe even more weeks in advance. The benefit of this is that, and what I want to try to avoid, is that we get enough runway to decide on kind of final techs for the weekend instead of trying to figure out the archetype itself, right? And so what I think what happened to me was that I didn't have like the best list that I could because I didn't choose my deck far enough in advance. Pokemon Company does a great job of giving us enough cards to be able to tech against certain decks and be able to accommodate certain bad matchups. You can't accommodate every bad matchup with the techs that we have, but you can do certain things within the confines of your deck to make it better or worse in certain matchups. So what I didn't allow myself to do was have that runway to really get that deep knowledge of an archetype such that I could make last minute changes. And that's what I want to be doing, right? The week of the tournament, I don't want to be selecting the archetype. I want to be selecting the text for that archetype based on what I expect to see in the room. So that's the first change. Going along with that is that I want to try to play that deck for multiple tournaments, right? To the extent that I can. Again, 5 majors spread out over 6 or 7 months. Like, how reasonable is it to do that. I don't know, because the metagame is going to change. New sets are going to be released. Certain archetypes are going to be bad or good, just depending on what's available. And so I want to be, to the extent that I can. I mean, there's a lot of players that you look back on and can point to that have played one deck for the entirety of the season, or one deck for 2, 3, 4, 5 months at a time. And that has worked out largely, again, for the people that you can point to, like really well for these players. And that's something that I want to get in the habit of doing, is selecting a deck, feeling confident enough that I feel like I can bring it to every single tournament. I had that a couple seasons ago with Miraidon, and then that fell off really hard with the rise of Charizard, and I just didn't quite find something that I was comfortable with, but it didn't really matter at that point because I already had the invite. So, but this season I played to every major. I played 5 different decks across the whole season. Now, that could be something that's good, right? Like the metagame just maybe doesn't allow Goldango in the future, or it doesn't allow Miraidon to thrive, so I have to choose a different deck. That's fine. But what I don't want to be doing is choosing a different deck for the sake of choosing a different deck. You point to a lot of these players, they maybe have a bad performance with a deck, but they know at the next tournament, they're confident enough with their play with it that they're going to roll the dice back with that same archetype. That's the comfort level that I want to get to with a handful of decks throughout the course of this season, such that I'm not like forced to switch if I don't feel like I need to. The last part of this is that I want to trust my own results more. The idea here is that, and I created a whole website to track your own results. It's called trainingcourt.app. I really recommend you go check it out. But what I want to do is be able to have confidence in my own results versus trusting a website like Limitless or Trainer Hill or any of those other great statistical websites. I want to trust my own testing. And if I can trust my own testing, I can be confident in my deck, my gameplay, and bring it forward to a major with no major concerns. What I think happens sometimes, and this certainly happened to me, is like I'm analyzing, maybe even overanalyzing some of this data on the online tournament circuit, and I'm getting to a point where I'm just like in my own head. I've like blended my own head up, and I don't quite know, truths. Like I haven't discovered enough truths. I'm like backing all my thoughts on the metagame based on these websites that you don't know the players, you don't trust the players. You can trust your own testing much more than you can trust Trainer Hill, right? And so if they say, oh, this is a bad matchup, well, it's like, well, do I know that's a bad matchup? Have I ever played that before? And I want to get better at trusting my own results. Now, there's 2 sides to that. If I don't test enough to get enough results to be able to look back and form metagame conclusions and matchup conclusions, then I haven't tested enough for that tournament. And so that's going to be something that I'm going to work to improve over the course of the season. So, made it this far. Those are my 3 takeaways for the 2025-2026 season, things that I'm going to be implementing for this year. Let me know if you have any thoughts on that, if you think that those are good things to be doing, or if you have some of your own thoughts. I'm certainly open to hearing those in the comment section. But that's going to do it for me today, guys. God bless. If I don't see you soon, I'll see you later. And remember, good luck and also have fun.